All right. Music is beautiful, especially music. Sometimes music with lyrics kind of hit. They really do. But there's somebody running, doing like a jog up the hill that I'm like parked at. That might be I don't really like I don't really like running all that much anymore. I really do like a long walk. But maybe I'll consider like going back into running. Maybe at least doing like a jog. I think that'd be kind of like my way of kind of like easing back into like longer forms of running. I used to go running for like, there's like this one route that I would follow that would have me running for like 45 minutes to like an hour. It was a lot of time running, and it was a lot of calories being burnt. And it's been several years since I've really put my body to like that kind of movement. I wouldn't say several years. It's just been like a few years since I've really been doing that. Um, I've really just been kind of committed to like just doing long durations of just walking. But the reason I mentioned music is beautiful is because there's just like a level of communication that I feel internally from like my soul, if that's what it is, to the music that I'm listening to. Especially, I was listening to this one song called Reflections, and I think it's like I'm not sure what the instrument is that's being played in that song, but I love it. I love it. I just I'm in love with music like that. It's like not even music that somebody's speaking to with they're not speaking to me with words. They're speaking to me at a level that just feels so true. Because anybody can use words. See, a con man can use words and make you believe a certain thing or whatever. But if you take away their words, can they really be a con man at all? Could they really get away with lying and pretending to be something they're not if they could never speak or use words? Maybe. I think maybe not. But that's what I love about music. Like, specifically songs that just don't really require you to like listen with words. Like you just listen and it's like sweet music to your ears. Like I don't know. But Reflections, I forget the artist's name, but that song is just so good. Now, one of the things, man, honestly, like coming out here to the mountain. Hold up, excuse me. I feel like I need to clear my throat. Like something is kind of stuck. I don't know. I think I'm good now though. But I really want to clarify something about communication. Not just communication from like a beautiful piece of music that has no words in it. That's like probably to me like one of the highest levels of true communication because it doesn't require words for you to understand. I feel like words and speaking is some of like the lowest level of communication frequencies out there. Maybe I'm wrong. That's just me speculating, but I think that like if you're communicating with words, words can be very misleading. Someone can tell you something and not really mean anything by it. You just kind of like hear them say the words and you're like, okay, those are the words, like those are the key words that I can sort of hear and think, okay, this person has got me. And then next thing you find out that person backstabs you and they did not in fact got you. Like, like they didn't have your back. Even though they used the words of somebody that would have your back say, they didn't end up having your back, even though they said the words that someone would say if they did have your back. That's just the way that life is sometimes. But I think one of the highest levels of communication for me, I've noticed that sometimes I would get kind of upset and frustrated when I felt like I didn't have anything to communicate to people. Like I felt like there was something that I wanted to say, and I tried looking for someone to tell it to, just to then realize that person didn't really exist. At least not in the way that I thought so, And it almost makes me want to cry because it's almost like a realization that nobody's gonna have your back more than you can have your own back, you know? As a kid, I used to kind of say something maybe like a little morbid sounding like, and it was like, when you're in that grave, you're in there by yourself. That's along the lines of something that I would say literally growing up, middle school, high school, like probably more in high school, I would say that. I don't think I maybe said that at all during middle school, but I had, like, at a younger age, I sort of had that in my mindset, like nobody's really going to have your back more than you can have your own back. And when you're in that grave, when you've passed, nobody's going to be in that grave with you. No one's going to be in that coffin with you. It's just all you and just your physical body in there. And I know, like, I'm just saying that because it's probably like the easiest way that I could verbalize or like communicate that even when you're no longer here, even when whatever it is that's animating this physical body, even when it's no longer animating this physical body, that physical body is by itself in that coffin. And really at the end of the day, whatever it is that's animating our physical body in this very moment, whatever it is that's animating my physical body, I have to become best friends with that, because if I don't, then who else do I really have? And trust me, I know, like, when you realize that, or when you think about it like that, and I don't want to say the word realize as in like what I'm saying is something so true that you should realize, and if you're not realizing, then you need to wake up or whatever. I don't know. I don't really want to make it sound like that, but it's just something that I feel to be true, at least for me. And maybe these words, you let me know what you think in the comment section. You know what I'm saying? Like this is now the second video that I kind of want to apply that to. Like in the last video that I recorded, I was like trying to get like a way for me to like get some feedback from the people that watch these videos. And I'm thinking, like, how do I do that? Let me just ask, like what do you think about what I'm saying? Let me know down below. But whatever, the point is, it's just kind of complicated because, like, for instance, I made a video called Heartbreak, the Aftermath, and thinking about the heartbreak that I had experienced back in the day, like 2 years ago, it was difficult because there were some times that, like, I would feel so deeply about the heartbreak that I thought that I needed to communicate that to the other person, the person that I had the heartbreak over. I thought I needed to go out and tell her, when in reality, it wasn't her that I needed to talk to. It was really myself that I needed to talk to. And even now, like, even today, even within these past days, even within these past few weeks, even within these past few months, there's been times, not with her, but with just other people, that I felt like, oh, like, should I communicate this with them? Like, but then I get scared because I'm just kind of like, oh, or not even necessarily scared, but I get kind of worried because I'm just like, oh, like, what would I even say to that person? And then now I'm sort of just realizing that it's nothing that I ever needed to tell to that person, but it's really something that I should have, like, talked to myself about. And I don't necessarily mean like talking aloud. I mean, that's one way that you could do it. But there's several other ways that you can also really speak to yourself, I mean, there's several practices that I follow. I wouldn't say like every day, but when I feel that it is necessary for me to communicate with myself, I'll go ahead and I'll meditate. I was taught how to do transcendental meditation a few years ago by a mentor in a center not that far from where I live, and she taught me how to do it. It was this lovely lady, very elderly, lovely lady that taught me how to meditate, how to do transcendental meditation. And that's one of my ways of sort of like kind of just being able to process how I'm feeling, and the thoughts that just randomly show up in my mind. And it kind of gives me that space to really just let whatever come up, and then just don't even really like I don't really bug out about whatever comes up. It just comes up and I'm sort of just letting it come up and I listen or whatever it is, Another way that I do it is through these videos. These videos are extremely important to me, because this, I felt like, took it to a whole nother level of just being able to communicate out loud with the words. Like, even though I said words I feel like are a low level communication frequency or whatever, it's still a way of communicating, like, you hear the words I'm saying and you can understand the words I'm saying. And sometimes the words can carry a frequency that's strong enough for you to be able to process what I'm saying at a very deep level and be like, oh, that's an interesting thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many different levels of communication, and maybe I'm wrong to say that communicating with words is a low frequency way of communicating. It's still a way of communicating nonetheless, I think maybe instead of me saying that it's a low level way of communicating, maybe it's really just a different way of communicating. There's non-verbal communication, there's verbal communication, and I guess maybe you can categorize it and like make the distinction between those two categories, like non-verbal and verbal. But I feel like it's much deeper than that. But like, you could just, there's subcategories under those categories. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Whatever. The point is that the communication with myself has been something that's been of real significance to me as of late, because the realization of me, just personally me, and I know that if it's just like, I know if I'm feeling it, it's probably true to then assume that other people out there are also feeling it, So that communication with yourself, the communication that you can have with yourself, and the communication that I've been having with myself, it's of true significance. It is, because you may feel sometimes that you're trying to communicate something to somebody, and I'm not saying everything is possible. Again, I've said this in other videos too. Anything and everything can be possible. So just because I'm pointing to something from one angle doesn't mean that something else can't be true. Multiple things can be true at once. Two things can be true at once. So I'm just pointing at it from one angle. And the point is, the communication with myself has been of real true significance, because again, sometimes it feels like I want to communicate something, and as I'm thinking that, I'm also thinking, oh, I should go communicate it to them. And then sometimes, I've tried to do that and it just doesn't go anywhere. And then there's other times too where someone will ask for like an explanation or something like that, or whatever it may be, and it's just on something that I feel like I can't even talk about. Like, I couldn't even give them a good answer, and it requires effort for me to try to answer that question or whatever. And then no bullshit, I'll literally just start sweating. It's just like, okay, this costed too much resource. Like, it costed way too many resources for me to try to even think of an answer, because now I'm sweating. Like, what the heck? Like, you know what I'm saying? So let's see how long I am into this video. About 13 minutes. I think this will be like a shorter video that I create. I don't see myself going on for too long about this topic. But again, it is something that I feel like is important. Communicate with yourself as best as you can. Not to say that you can be, or that you have to be perfect about communicating with yourself, but at least just be willing to hear yourself out. Don't shut away or hide away from communicating from yourself. Even if you think you look crazy by saying something out loud, like literally speaking to yourself, you're not crazy. In fact, I think it would be crazier if you were to not try and do that. Like, I think it'd be crazier to not at least give it a try. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I personally would want to at least experience it for the sake of experiencing it, to then at least know, like, okay, this worked, this didn't work. At least I gave it the effort, and okay, let me try something else, I thought the car that was parked here was parked because somebody was in the car, but I now realize that the people were going out for a walk. It's these two people. I can't tell. They look like very tall people. Yeah, they're both taller than their car. Yeah, they're tall people. I don't know. Whatever. The point is, and the car is not like a car that's like low. It's like a SUV kind of car. So they're pretty tall people. I don't know. Whatever. The point is that communicate with yourself as much as you can. Because sometimes you may feel like you need to communicate whatever you're feeling to somebody else, but then that somebody else is just probably just going to disregard whatever you say and not really even be thinking. And it's not that they don't care. Sometimes, I mean, that's what it may be. They could be just rude people that just simply don't care to listen. But you got to understand that other people, including ourselves, are so distracted. And not distracted in the sense that, like, there's something else better to give your attention to. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But we're all sort of focused on our inner world, you know? Everybody's got like their own experience going on. And when you try to share your experience and no one really listens, it's not that nobody cares about you. It's really just that there's just so much going on in all of our own inner worlds. So that's another reason why not to take things so personally from other people, because life is so, we think it, honestly, like I find myself occasionally holding some sort of like kind of resentment towards people that kind of walk around life like also hyper and jolly. Like I know that they're pretending to be hyper and jolly, like obviously, like especially like sometimes when I'm at work, you know, nobody really wants to be there. Like I know that people would rather be at home, maybe taking like a puff out of their pipe or their bong, or you know, maybe they're wanting to like go pet their dog or pet their cat, maybe go sip some wine, or maybe go smoke a cigar, or be with their kids, or go home and have some leftover dessert or some leftover Chinese food or whatever it may be, like, you know. So when I see people at work and I see them sort of like pretending to like kind of be excited about being there, I know that it's much deeper than that. I know it is. Maybe I'll make a different video about that. But yeah, that basically sums up everything I kind of wanted to talk about. Let's see. I'm already about 17 minutes in, so I'll cut it there. So now go enjoy your life. And I really do mean that. Please. That's it.